Hi, good morning, and welcome to the ZP vlog and podcast that we do every Sunday at 8 a.m. London time. There's a slight shift or a 1 hour shift in the clocks in the UK. So if we're a little bit late today, it's because the clocks have shifted by 1 hour as we transition into winter. So let me just do a quick sort of roundup for the news from Zimmer and Peacock for this week. Um, and so the first thing I'll sort of jump into really is we've got quite light on the news this week, but I thought this was super intriguing. That at Zimmer and Peacock, it's all about biosensors and medical diagnostics and data into information, and we do a good job on that. Now, one of the things that we also have a really strong mechanical and electromechanical department, and so we were recently exhibiting at an event in Norway called Made in Horten. And the reason I mention it is because the engineers at ZP there, led by our senior engineer, actually designed all the sort of furniture and display stands. So if you're following along with a vlog, we have let's say walls that are kind of made of wood, and we have tables which have sort of iron legs and stands on them, and all of these are actually made by the ZP engineering group, including our sort of head of marketing. I just want to say a special thanks to Saran this morning. Nice to see you, Saran. It's been a long time, I know, but good to see you. And so this is particularly, let's say, pertinent because one of our really cool engineers is actually online with us this morning. So at ZP, I just wanted to put a sort of little note out there to sort of thank the engineers for really quite a creative, let's say, job. I also want to say hi to Aftab this morning. Hi, Aftab. So well done to the ZP engineers. Thank you, first of all, for designing and actually making these stands as well for our recent exhibition. It's really appreciated. And I think you did a really nice job in terms of it's the finish, but it's also the fact that these were designed as well. So that's not something you would necessarily expect from Zimmer and Peacock. We talk about screen printing and vapor deposition and the placement of enzymes, and all this sort of deep science. And then you find out that actually this team is so capable, they can actually produce very nice mechanical pieces as well, including I call it interior design. They would say that interior design suggests a little bit more architecture, but they have done a great job in designing one of our recent stands. So thanks very much to the ZP team there. You actually get to see some of our, let's say, some of the capabilities at ZP as well, because Evan, the co-founder at Zimmer Peacock, also took some of the stands then to a exhibition in Oslo. So obviously Zimmer Peacock, we have a good presence in the UK. We have a good presence in Norway. We have a good presence, for example, in India through Technando. But here you see Evan. If you're watching the vlog, there's a picture of Evan, and he's in front of the latest stands. And again, these stands are what the engineers at ZP have actually built and designed. So thank you very much to them for that. And we can see that actually there's a good portability because the guys were able to get this from our HQ in Horten over to Oslo, and Evan was then able to exhibit the ZP skills at that exhibition there as well. It's something that we'll talk about in the next couple of weeks, but at ZP we are actually broadening ourselves now to be, at the moment, if you look at us, we're a consultancy that became a development house and then a manufacturing house as we became bigger. But we're also broadening out as well, and there'll be a new website coming which will talk about ZP, the consultancy, because in the end, we would have a speciality in terms of biosensors, but when you really look at us, we have chemists, what called electrochemists, material scientists, biologists, marketing guys, mechanical guys, electromechanical guys. So there's a real broadness in terms of the skill sets, and so that is really when you put those things together, you have what's called a consultancy, and actually that consultancy can solve many problems in this world. So we will broaden out, and we will talk about that over the next few weeks. Now, something that's kind of at the heart of what we do is we do try to help people with their technical questions. And so every week we have the ZP Academy, the ZP Developer Zone webinar. And this week we had a really interesting question that kind of came in. It was a very challenging question, which was, this is not a term I was super familiar with, kinetosis, but having kind of quickly read about it, I realized that this is actually sort of motion sickness, so in English, if people are traveling in cars, they call it car sickness. If they're on boats, they call it kind of sea sickness. I think these are all generically something that maybe come under kinetosis. And it's really a sort of feeling of nausea brought about by motion. And the inquirer was asking an interesting question, which is, can we measure cortisol in sweat? And the answer is we can, and we do get a lot of inquiries around the measurement of cortisol in bodily fluids, be it sweat, not so much blood, but maybe saliva, etc. We do get a lot of questions around that. We're quite happy to participate in these kind of programs. The thing is, as we said this week, we do have the sensors, the electronics, the connectivity, the cloud technology. We have all of those pieces in place. But to bring them together to specifically do something like measuring the sweat in a kinetosis application is really quite tough. If you're measuring the sweat and you're then measuring cortisol in sweat and this person is moving around, just the movement alone can introduce artifacts into the signal. And so it's something that I sort of said, look, we can do this. We can do a really good job, but doing it reliably in every application, that is what that's what we need to kind of work with clients around. So for example, we can make a really nice continuous glucose monitoring sensor. But if you said, I want to make a CGM that will work with downhill skiers and I want no artifacts in that signal, we really have to work on that. So it's often not the core science and engineering, it's the tailoring it to final application that is sometimes the gap. And that's what we do at Zimmer and Peacock. We close those gaps. But we really do it in a very accelerated manner because anyone who sort of knows Zimmer and Peacock, you'll know that we have expertise in microneedles, etc. And this is not, this is going back a few years, and we spent tens of thousands of hours doing this kind of thing, and there's quite an IP portfolio behind it. So anyway, it's just a quick way of saying we do answer these questions and we give people a sense of where we're at in this landscape. And so we were happy to answer the question on cortisols. Something that I want to indicate that is going to get quite exciting soon. We're really going to start doing some development kits around the idea of putting biosensors into bioreactors. There's a whole industry out there of using cells, cell culture, the idea that cells are producing biopharmaceuticals. This happens, in Europe, USA, and India. And when you sort of look at these bioreactors, the kind of parameters that these people want to measure, it's often glucose, sometimes lactate, always pH, always dissolved oxygen. So at least there's at least three parameters that people want to measure, which is glucose, pH, and dissolved oxygen. These are super great for Zimmer and Peacock, because how long have we had a glucose sensor for? It feels like forever. The second sensor I think we ever developed was actually dissolved oxygen, and probably the third or fourth was pH. So these are very kind of robust sensors with us. That said, there's a lot of bioreactor and cell culture work going on in the globe. I would easily say there must be $25 billion worldwide of this kind of work going on in the world. And so at Zimmer and Peacock, we do see a gap in the market that low-cost disposable type sensors in these applications are not available. And lo and behold, Zimmer and Peacock is probably able to solve that. So that's definitely something that we want to explore. And it came up in the ZP Developer Zone webinar this week as well. Something else as well is at ZP, we have clean rooms and really state-of-the-art equipment both in Norway and the UK. And when I say sort of state-of-the-art, XPS, X-ray photospectroscopy, AFM, atomic force microscopy, ellipsometry, TM, transmission electron microscopy, SEMs, scanning electron microscopy, thermal annealing. These are a lot of we have a lot of kit for the fabrication of MEMS type devices, but also then the characterization of these MEMS types devices. So if we were working on a CGM program for somebody, continuous glucose monitoring, and there was some sort of vapor deposition of platinum or some sort of deposition of platinum, we would be able to both do it and characterize it as well. And so we do have a whole suite of tools available for this. And so we just kind of, it's sometimes hidden that in fact, we have these millions of dollars worth of kit available to us. And as I say, it's not just in one location, it's both in the UK and in Norway. And so we can use the kit just in its own right, it's not necessarily linked to a big project with us, or we can use it as part of a project. And so we just put it on the website this week that, we do have this kit. And to indicate availability, we've also shown that, people can just book this equipment with us per hour. And so, like I say, this is a kind of capability that, we do tell people that, we have this MEMS, BioMEMS, microfabrication type capability, and you can see it through our products. But then this particular page that we've added also indicates actually you can get hold of this kit, and this is what we essentially have. I'll go a little bit quicker this morning, but thanks to Saran and Aftab for hanging on there with us. What I want to say is, at ZP, we're always working hard, to make sure that we get out there and meet the community and meet other companies. And so something that we are doing is we are going to Medica. So just to give people a sense, we are doing a workshop in California on the 10th of November, and then we're actually doing Medica on the 14th of November. So you can imagine this very short time period between some of us who will be on the West Coast USA, have to then hop across back to Europe, back to Germany, with really sort of less than 3 days, which is fine, and then to be in Medica for that. So Medica is one of the world's biggest, I actually think it's the world's biggest medical and medtech expo in the world. Before the pandemic, there was at least 150,000 people there per year, and ZP will be going there again this year. We'll be on the stand, we'll be walking the stand, and we're asking people if you want to meet with us at Medica. So for example, if you're a company in India and you're developing CGM, or you're working with SMBGs, self-monitoring blood glucose sensors, then Medica is probably a good place to find us and arrange a meeting with us. So we're just promoting that as well. And also, just to kind of give you a sense of how busy November is, I just mentioned that we're doing a workshop in California on the 10th of November. And on the 8th of November, we're doing a online talk at something called Sensors in Medicine. And we're talking about measuring lactic acid in sweat. So there's many people interested in lactic acid. Lactic acid is a good marker for sort of anaerobic respiration. So if you're feeling out of breath when you're running, then you've kind of gone into an anaerobic state, and the body starts to produce lactic acid. So when you're doing that deep breathing at the end of exercise, that's your body trying to kind of clear the lactic acid. Anyway, there's a big effort in the world. People are very interested in measuring lactate and lactic acid in athletes. So Zimmer Peacock, we're definitely part of that. And what's really good about ZP is once upon a time you would have an idea and you'd want to develop a product. And ZP was that good partner to go from idea to product. Now we can really shorten that timeline because actually we have a true platform at ZP. So when people come to us and say, I want to measure lactic acid in sweat, we have a lactic acid sensor. We have the electronics for lactic acid. We have apps, we have Bluetooth, and we have Julie the cloud. So we really have a platform, and it really shortens that timeline to go from idea to product, because actually you can go idea onto ZP platform, and ZP platform can give you the final product. But we will be talking about that and a case study on measuring lactic acid in sweat at Sensors in Medicine, which is on the 8th of November. So you can see how busy essentially November is. There's a conference, an online conference on the 8th. Some of us are giving a workshop on the 10th. That's then in the USA. And then some of us are coming back to Germany, at least to be in Medica from the 14th to the 17th. So it's a busy, let's say, month. And we're all working hard, to be out there and make sure that people know, what's going on. So I just want to do a quick summary, and I want to say a particular thank you. So the summary would be this. Thanks to the mechanical engineers and our marketing guys for putting together that really professional and lovely stand. It's very appreciated. Thank you to Evan, who's been out there promoting Zimmer Peacock around Norway this week. It is, great job, and sort of thanks so very much. If you have technical questions of Zimmer Peacock, around measuring cortisol, linked to kinetosis, we will, even if we sometimes think that we can't help, we will give you a deep explanation as to where the state of the art is at the moment, where we're at, and what maybe some gaps are. It's clear in our products, that we will do vapor deposited gold electrodes, vapor deposited platinum electrodes. So it's clear, that obviously we do have a great access to the kind of kit that can do this kind of work. But we did put a web page up this week just saying, actually, this is the kit, and you don't have to have engaged with us on a project. For example, SEM, scanning electron microscopy, is quite a common thing to do in industry, and we can make that kit, available to people as they want. To complete that busyness, don't forget, if you want to meet us at Medica, especially, people coming in from around the globe, please reach out to us. We will be there. And as part of that kind of whole technology stack of accelerating ideas to market, we're going to be giving a talk on the 8th of November at Sensors in Medicine. So I want to say thank you very much for being online this morning, Saran and Aftab, and I will speak to some of you in a few minutes. But otherwise, have a nice day and take care. Okay, guys, thanks so very much.